Hello, how's it going everybody? Ronan Boyce here, Derry City Football Club, and subscribe to Irish Footy Vlogs for the best League of Ireland content around.
Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another Premier Division preview show. We've got 5 games on this Friday night. We'll start off as with Longford Town taking on St.Patrick's Athletic, and Pats are 9 points clear second place. Longford are rooted at the bottom of the league. Pats had a good win actually on Monday night against Dundalk. Billy King scoring the winner. For me, that with 5 games to go, in my opinion, that more or less cements Pats in second place, doesn't it, I think?
Absolutely, it's meant Pat's place, and you know what a season they're after having. I know they've been going through a bit of topsy-turvy kind of form recently, but you know they've been doing very well. And you know against Longford, they should be looking at this as a straightforward win. So you know if I was a Pats fan, I'd be hoping that they wouldn't make too many changes because, like we said a few weeks ago, like you're waiting for Longford to get that result against someone, and you don't want it to come against you. Like you just don't want to be that team, and they're playing for nothing. They've nothing to play for. So there's no pressure going out every week, whereas you're expected to win when you're playing them now. So you know, there is pressure going into them games. But look, to me, looking at it, it has to be a straightforward Pats win. Like you can't really think any other way. No disrespect for Longford now, but you know, it'd have to be a straightforward Pats win.
Yeah, you just get the feeling the Pats, no matter what happens, will somehow win the game. So if they don't win it, say, playing brilliant and win 3-1 or something, that they might nick it 1-0, that somehow Pats are probably going to get the 3 points out of this, because that's been Longford's issue for most of the season now, that no matter how they play, teams tend to get results against them anyway. As well as that in the last couple of weeks, obviously last few games, Lee Desmond coming back into Pats. I haven't mentioned it because I was waiting for him to play a couple of games, really, to be honest. And if I'm honest, it's like he hasn't been away. I thought, you know, you get a bad, it's not an injury, but it was more of a scary situation. I thought, you know, he could come back and be a little bit nervous, a little bit. But I have to say, particularly Monday against Dundalk, I thought he was outstanding as well. So he's been a big plus. And obviously, Pat's defence looks better with him in it. Benson back as well. And, you know, they'll be happy with these players coming back with the cup final coming up. But as you say, like, 9 points out of Sligo. Pats have been up and down in the last, let's say, couple of months. But the difference is the teams behind them have been more down than up. So yes, Pats have... I wouldn't say they've stuttered because they've done what they've had to do, I suppose, because of that. I wonder if teams are closer to them, would they've upped it? Who knows? But they obviously weren't able to stay with Shamrock Rovers, which is a key point as well. But yeah, for me, I think Pats will win the game. I'm not really sure how they'll win the game, whether they'll win it by playing brilliant, pretty football and win 3 or 4. Will they go and nick it 1-0? But you just get the feeling they'll have too much on the day for Longford Town. I think Pats will nick it myself. We'll move on to, yes, Dundalk and Waterford at Oriel Park. And this is an absolutely massive game because suddenly Dundalk are back in it again. They're on 39 points. Waterford are on 31. Harps are on 38. And guess what? Waterford and Harps have a game in hand in Dundalk. So this is actually a massive game for Dundalk. A game they really feel like they have to win. I mean, there's not too many games left. They're, as I say, they're right back in it. I thought, you know, it's been a bad week for them overall. Friday getting knocked out of the cup by Pats. Monday then losing 1-0 to a much-changed Pats team as well. You know, 3 of the backroom staff have left the club as well. The timing of it, etc. You know, Peak 6 suddenly have announced that they're banning pyro. That the fans can't use pyro at games. And, you know, the bus was attacked, the Dundalk bus at Richmond Park at Inchicore as such on Friday, and Peak 6 haven't had come out with any statement or any, you know, sympathy for the people on that bus who travelled to the game or anything like that. I know that as a fact because I was told by someone who was on it, but just a horrible time for Dundalk, and they're back in the must-win scenario. As I said, like Waterford from their point of view very quickly as well. A mixed bag for them. Disappointing to go out in the cup, but delighted to win the league game in Dalymount. And all the pressure's on Dundalk in this one, I think.
There's so much pressure on Dundalk, Keith. Look, we've been saying this throughout the season, and normally it's the other way around, is pressuring them to win, to keep winning titles. And who would have thought we'd be sitting here this season now looking at them of where they are at, like the investment they had, players that they brought in, the caliber of players that they brought in, and they've so many problems off the pitch, but just so many problems on the pitch too. And that's a recipe for disaster, and it's been a disaster of a season for them. One they really need to put behind them and just make sure that they stay up and just don't get sucked down to that playoff position, because it could happen. Like, you know, they're not oh, I would have would yet, like, and
What
again,
they were, and now they're after dropping back into it, aren't they?
like, they're not doing themselves favours by, like you said, losing to that must change Pat's team. Like, I backed Dundalk to win that one. I thought, right, lost in the cup, that surely they'll come out and win the league game now, and look now like, they want to stay up and have no worries and focus on next season and try and put this behind them. But the fact that they didn't is just roped them back in, like, in a position that they just don't want to be in. And I personally think myself, the likes of Harps and Waterford have more of a fight in them than Dundalk do. The players have more passion and more fight. And if you're down in that position, you need passion and you need fight in you to stay up. And just them Dundalk players, they just don't have it. And if they had a few less points than they have now, they'd be in serious trouble. I know you could say that about any team, but they're just fortunate to have what they have at the minute. They don't deserve what they have at the minute. I don't think anyway. Bar that good run they went on there a few weeks ago, which probably is going to keep them up. But it's massive for Waterford too. Like, and like, they'll be looking at this certainly as the game that they can go and win. And like, I would actually think Waterford will win this one. I think they've got more fight in them. Like, if you go through the players, I just think if you look at Waterford, even when they win a game, they just seem more passionate about the win. They just seem like they want it more when they go out there. And when they go out, they don't really, it's not like they're just going through the motions. I think Waterford have a lot of fight in them, as do Harps, but just looking at Dundalk, I just don't think they do. And I don't want to see, as anyone, I don't want to see teams get relegated, but, this Dundalk just don't look like what they were a few, last year, the year before that, and still have fighting them. And I can really see Waterford putting it up to them passionately, going at them for the 90 minutes, being dogs, being tough to beat, hard to break down, catch them out, get a goal, nick it 1-0, and get all 3 points. I can really see that happen. But then again, there has been the odd few games this season where Dundalk have shown glimpses of their quality, have shown glimpses of certain players of what they can do. And if they can do that on the night, they'll definitely win. It's definitely going to be who shows up on the night. But I think if you look at another reason outside of that, I think it's definitely going to come down to fight and desire. And I think Waterford has that over them.
The only thing I think Dundalk have going for themselves that their home record recently has been very good. So that is something that they'll cling on to this one. I think it's very difficult to judge this. I think I'm going to sit in the fence and go for a draw. It's hard to know who that suits more, Daz, to be honest. Of course, Waterford are level in the league in a game in hand. So if they use that game in hand to their advantage, even by getting a point, it could be a bigger point for Waterford. But I think Waterford would look at this and say, look, we cannot lose the game. But Dundalk could be hoping that Hubin is available on Friday, because he's been one of their bright sparks in the last month or two. And he was unavailable for the league game against Pats.
Like, Bertram setting up Waterford really hard to beat as well, and they're doing really good that way. But they haven't lost an awful lot of games in the last 12 matches too. If you look at the record, like, they're not really losing that many, and it's a pity. Or even throughout the season since he took over, they haven't lost an overly amount. So to still be ninth, it shows how bad the position they were in before they came in. Like, they could have been rooted nearer to Longford than they are now if they hadn't changed that. Like, but. Look, I'd say they'll have enough to get through. As you said, very difficult to judge. This is probably the hardest one to judge for this weekend, because it just really could go either way. But I really think that the Longford or Waterford have to fight in them to get over this one.
Interesting to see what happens. Sligo Rovers take on Drogheda at the showgrounds on Friday night as well. And Sligo currently 4 points ahead of Drogheda. So a lot of people would argue if Drogheda won this, they're in the fight for Europe. Sligo, they've dropped off big time. So they have, I think, in the last 10 matches, they'd be second bottom in the league, or possibly bottom. I can't remember. No, I think second bottom, actually. I seen a graphic the other day, which is very poor. They're clinging on to third. And the only thing that's helping them is the fact that, as an example, Bohemians have been very inconsistent. Derry have kind of come from afar to get into this position. But in this game itself, I mean, Drogheda, I think, just about have enough of a buffer that they should be okay in terms of ninth. They're probably one win away from saying, right, that's us grand, actually. So it's going to be a very interesting game. I think Drogheda do have a lot of fight in them. They showed that against Derry the other night without actually playing well. They nicked it 1-0, which was a great win for them. Sligo, from their point of view, that draw against Harps just wasn't good enough. You're 2-0 up with 5 minutes to go. The opposition of 10 men on a heavy pitch for more or less 90 minutes. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's down to a couple of things: concentration and not working as hard as the opposition, because there's no way that should happen. But that's been in their game in the last few months, Sligo, where they've, I don't know, have they got that desire? Have they got that fight as a unit? Some of the players do, there's no doubt about that. But as a unit, there's something missing there. And, if Sligo come out and play well and perform, they can well beat Drogheda. But if they don't, they're certainly there for the take. And it's another tough one to call this, isn't it?
Yeah, like you made a very interesting point there about saying, Sligo as a unit are not good. Individually, they've got some really outstanding talents in their team that can really hurt any team in their day. And, everybody knows the quality that they have, the wingers, their front men, their backs. Like, anyone would certainly take a few of their players into your team in the morning. Everyone would. But collectively, as a unit together, like they've conceded silly goals, lost concentration throughout matches. And as you've seen against Harps, conceding in the 91st 4 minute when you're kind of, 2-0 up and cruising, 10 minutes previously, it's not good enough that the team that's, second bottom, third bottom, and, to be a team fighting for Europe, you can't be conceding like that. It's the same with Bohs, but we're like that as well, I think, at times as well, and it's just not good enough. It's poor to see it. But, and then if you look at Drogheda, I think players like are better, but Drogheda are a better unit. They just work better as a team together, and I think if you work better as a team than relying on individuals, I believe you've got a better chance of the game. I don't think you'll concede as much. I think you're less of a chance of conceding as much, and I think if you go a goal up, the team as a unit will defend better and collectively for each other than individuals will collectively together when they're working together to try and keep the win. So I actually wouldn't be surprised to see Drogheda gets it over here. Why not? They'll be looking at Sligo's results and how they've been playing and areas they've been lacking in, and concentration levels dropping, and they'll be thinking, we're better at concentrating than them, we're better team units than them. I think defensively Drogheda have been better than them as well. They haven't been conceding goals from silly goals in the box or silly goals from a set piece or a floated ball in that should have just been cleared. They're not really conceding them kind of goals. So if you're not conceding goals like that, you're going to be harder to break down. And like you said, they have a fight for Europe, a fight for staying up, also a fight for Europe. That's what makes our league great. If they could put a run together, unlikely, but if they could, they're in a real shout for trying to clinch fourth place. And if it's mathematically possible, why not? You should be going all out to try and get it. As long as something's there to get, you should be going out to get it. And yeah, I completely agree. I think one more win, or even 3 draws now, will see them stay up, and they'll be happy. And they're having a great season. Like I said a few months ago, they've came up and they're doing a good job. And a few of the players are very good, like Onamusu in goals. He's a great goalkeeper. They'll be doing well to hold on to him for next season. He could have a lot of closeness around him, and why not? He's an outstanding young talent as well. But look, I'd be saying Drogheda could get something. I would this. I could be cheeky and say a draw or a win, but that'd be too easy now to be saying that. But I'm going to go a Drogheda 1-0 win. I think they're going to keep going at Sligo, and then they're going to break them down the last few minutes and get a goal and clinch it, and it'd be great to see for them.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, in the last month, I think Drogheda have defended much better than Sligo have defended, to be honest. They've kept a couple of clean sheets, Drogheda, and a couple of games they've only conceded 1 goal in. For example, the last minute goal they conceded against Pats as well. So that shows how tight they've been defensively. Sligo for the season have been good defensively, but they've gone through patches like now where they're not very good defensively as well. And a lot has to do with Greg Bulger when he's missing as well. I'd love to see a graphic of Sligo with Greg Bulger and Sligo without, because I think he's been huge.
So solid.
There's such a difference.
They look like a more patient, controlled team. Like their build-up's way better.
More dogged as well.
Their defensive unit is way better. Like he's just sitting for that back four, and he's kind of being a semi-circle in front of them, collecting balls, dropping to the backs, collecting it, pinging the pass left and right. He knows to move up. He knows when to move back. And he's an anchor man. He plays that position for them, and he does it ever so well. And I think he's a very underrated player throughout the league as well. Like what he does, it kind of goes unnoticed because he's not in the headlines for scoring goals and second goals up every week. He's, you'd have to look at the team and say, when we're in it, we win, say, 8 out of 10 games, so we don't lose 8 out of 10 games. But when he's not there, we defensively are more open. We're not expansive when we get the ball in. There's no one to drop in and collect it as well as he does it, and play it on. He does the simple things really well, I think. And I think if you've got a player who does the simple things well, you'll be a lot more consistent in your game. And players around you will be more confident too, because they can give you the ball in a messy situation. You'll do something clever with it and get out of it. And especially if you're trying to play like they do, like, passing the ball, possession kind of based football, and trying to work your wingers and work your midfielders into possession of the ball, you need someone like him, and he does that job very, very well. And when he's not there, they just look a bit open in midfield or just a bit shaky in the backs at times. So yeah, he's a massive player for them, massive.
Yeah, huge influence. I think I'm gonna go for a draw though. I think Drogheda will get a draw, and I think to be happy enough with that. Sligo, from their point of view, will be thinking, if we can get 3 points here, it'd be huge, because we're going to move on to the next game now, and Derry City are playing Bohemians at the Brandywell. So, as I said, if Sligo could get 3 points, something's going to give at the Brandywell. Massive game as well. Derry, it's a strange one, because the last 2 Derry games have won 1-0 in a game with Pats, where Pats had so many chances, it was untrue. Derry won it. In the last game, they lost 1-0 to Drogheda. Drogheda had one clear chance and took it and won 1-0. Just shows how strange football can be. And look, they've been much better. We know that under Rory Higgins, etc. They'll be disappointed with their performance, though, overall the last day, I think. As will Bowes, after losing at home to Waterford. I know they made changes as well, but at the same time, this really is a big game. It's probably one that Bohemians, as the away team, can't afford to lose, to be honest with you. Because if Derry win this, there's 5 in it, and you can't see Bowes winning four or five of their last 4 or 5 matches, because they haven't done it all season. You know what I mean? So Sligo as well, if they were to win, then Bowes would be in a dangerous situation. It's a difficult one to judge, though, because Bowes, I've said so many times, Bowes on their day could come out and play brilliant football, some of the best football in the league. But if they were to go 1 down against Derry, it's difficult to see Bowes getting back into the game. So it's a real difficult one to judge. I know Georgie Kelly had a bit of a calf issue coming off the last day, so that's going to be key, whether he plays or not. I'd imagine he will be available. It was probably just a tightening of the calf. But Derry City will see this as an opportunity now. I mean, they would have bitten your hand off to be in this situation after 31 games.
Absolutely.
And by the way, I'll just throw in, so Bowes actually haven't beaten Derry this season as well. They've had 2 draws and a defeat as well, which is interesting. Whereas there's been late goals in all the games so far, and a bit of drama when they played each other as well.
Yeah, Derry, firstly, Derry are having a smashing season. Like I've said weeks ago, Rory Higgins came in, he's done a smashing job, and he has done a very, very good job. And, you have to be very proud to be a Derry fan of, him coming in and doing so well. And I hope now next season, if Derry go through a bad patch, they don't think to get rid of him, because he's shown quality manager that he is. And he's very young too. He's got an awful lot to learn as a manager, but he's doing really, really good things at Derry, and they've got a lot of good things coming on and off the pitch for them this season, and moving into next season, there's a lot of good things happening. Looking at their season, as of right now, what a season they're having. They're very consistent. They're scoring goals, they're keeping clean sheets. They're doing everything that you'd expect the team to be fighting for top 3, top 4 to be doing, and they're being consistent too. When they go a goal down, they're not panicking. They're trying to get back into the game and playing football the right way, and they can hurt you in set pieces as well. I know that from watching both, few on us. So, they're good at set pieces and they're consistent and good in the back. It's going to be very hard to beat when you're like that. And, just looking at it from a Bowes perspective now, I am worried going into this one. The likes of Kelly being out, or possibly being out, or not being 100%. Was massive for us, because we've overly relied on him this season.
Here's one for you, Daz. If he's able to play but not 100%, do you play him or not?
I'd start him, but if he's niggly, I'd have to take him off. He's our best player, I think, at the minute, and one of our best players. We've got a few very, very good players, but he's our main form of goals. And without him in the team, we just look a lot weaker. He's our link-up play. He makes things happen in the team. And unfortunately, it's criminal that we don't have another striker. It's actually so bad, and it's very frustrating as a fan. We just don't have one, and we're just lucky that Kelly worked out this season, because he hasn't been really consistent in previous seasons. He didn't get anywhere near the amount of goals he has. It's just been very, very good. He's had a good season. But if he's not there, Promise has been playing up front. He's been doing good since he came in. For someone who's not an out-and-out striker, or someone who's not a consistent goal scorer, someone who's very young and inexperienced, he has been doing well. But if you've got him with Georgie Kelly, it's a no-brainer to play Georgie Kelly. Even, and this is no disrespect to Promise now, because I do love him as a player. I think he's been really good lately, and, he's got a good few assists lately too. That goal, or that assist here tonight, it was perfectly weighted ball into Kelly, it was very, very good pass. But if you got 80% Georgie Kelly, 100% Promise, you're probably going to play Georgie Kelly and take him off in the 50th minute, maybe. And I can see Keith Long doing that. But I don't want to risk injury though either. We've got the final, we've got Shamrock Rovers on the Monday, so you might give them a half each maybe. But I'd actually think a draw now would be a very, very good result for Bowes, and just not losing, I think, is key for us. Not getting any more injuries, and just trying to pick up a bit of form. Being up goals to the Brandywell is hard for any team, but we've been inconsistent this season. We can't afford to go there now and concede silly goals like we have been, or not give 100% when we're up there. We need to go up, take the game by the scruff of the neck, put it to them and try and get an early goal. I think whoever gets the early goal might nick it. I think it will be a tight game. I think both teams will be very up for it. And Bowes will definitely want to try and get a win against them. Was haven't, like you said, haven't won this season, so they'll be looking at that. They'll want to get a win against them. It's going to be a very, very hard one to call, but I think, being level-headed and being reasonable, I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. I'd love to see us win it, obviously, but I think a draw would be a realistic expectation for us. We should be going out to win every game, obviously, but I just think it'll be a draw for me.
I think it might be well set up for Bowes, because I'm still convinced that Bowes play their best football when they're sitting back slightly and they can hit you in the counter-attack through the middle and wide, to be honest with you. It's when they're pushing forward sometimes they get caught and there's a lot of gaps and they can see goals that way and from set pieces, etc. But I'm feeling Bowes might nick this one, actually. I think it might be their first win against Derry this season, so I'm going to go for a Bowes win. Derry City 1, Bowes 2, and probably a last-minute goal, and we'll say Georgie Kelly as well. Finally, Daz, Shamrock Rovers take on Finn Harps at Tallaght Stadium, and I'm expecting a fantastic atmosphere here, as Shamrock Rovers know 3 points guarantees them winning the league title. And I think in many ways they were delighted that Pats beat Dundalk the other night, because it would have meant that Rovers, if Dundalk beaten Pats, Rovers would have won the league. I don't know about you, but I'd rather, I think, to win the game at home to actually win the league and clinch it. Finn Harps, of course, have their issues. They're still in that relegation mire. They're 9th. They'll be looking at Dundalk and Waterford and saying, look, someone's going to take off points off each other there. But at the same time, you're going to Shamrock Rovers, team that know a win is going to win the league. It's going to be, in that circumstance especially, it's hard enough going there the best of times. But in that circumstance, it's very difficult to see Shamrock Rovers being denied here, isn't it?
I think this game is on telly as well. There's a supporter supposed to go in. Oisin's organising that. Any Harps fans is watching, they might know that. So just gone to him. He's organising that bus down. Not sure if you can still take names that's going. Just have a look at that on the Facebook group.
Yeah, check out the Finn Harps supporters group on Facebook, guys, as well, if you haven't.
Good stuff, yeah. And yeah, look, we're over to get the league title won at their home ground, and it kills me to say it, but they probably will do it.
It's inevitable. It's been inevitable for weeks, to be fair. Let's be honest. It's only, if they don't win it, it's going to be delaying it anyway. And all season, pardon me, all season I've been saying it, even when Sligo and Pats were toe-to-toe, I expected at some point that they just wouldn't be able to keep up and Rovers would keep going. They're relentless, to be fair. They've been nicking results. They've scored 50 goals this season all of a sudden as well. Bowles have scored the most with 51, but crucially they've conceded 23 goals. And how many games have they nicked 1-0 without playing well? I always say it, that's how you win leagues. It's the games you don't play well but you pinch results in is how you win the leagues. Same with any league ever in the history of world football.
I brought this up a few weeks ago. I was saying, I agree with it, actually. I was saying, our Shamrock Rovers don't always play well in every game, but they have enough individual quality to win a game. And
they've enough at the back that they know they're not going to concede many goals. Yeah. The back line, and you've got Grace mightn't play 1 week and O'Brien the next week plays and things like that. How many left backs have played this season at different various points and stuff? And they've a solid goalkeeper as well and a leader in goal as well, and their midfield works very hard.
The likes of, having experienced players like Richie Towell come in, who's been there and won it and done it, and he'll be really good in the dressing room, I can imagine. Graham Burke coming back from injury and getting a goal straight away, he doesn't even always get in the team, which says it all. No. One of the better players in the league doesn't always get into your team. That's saying something about the quality that they possess. But it's going to be a great night for their fans. They probably will win this game. And, as you said, it's just delaying the inevitable. We've been saying this, 6-7 weeks now, Shamrock Rovers probably most likely will win the league. And, everyone probably would agree with, you'd be thinking that way. Obviously, at the time, it wasn't really mathematically. Obviously, they could go on and lose the streak, but it was highly unlikely. But that was never going to happen, was it? But they're probably going to beat Harps, I'd say. They're probably going to beat them very well. I could see it being a 2-3-0 win for Shamrock Rovers, and it'll be a great party for the fans and the league title, and well done to them. And they've been really good this season, and they scored a good few goals. They haven't conceded many goals, and they've done really well, and they earned a just reward.
Yeah, from Finn Harp's point of view, though, I do expect them to go and keep it tight and be dogged and to be defensively sound. So Rovers are going to have to be patient when they try and find his first goal, because they'll need it. Because Finn Harps.
I think though too, Keith. Finn Harps are really going to sit back in this one. I wouldn't be surprised to see 5 at the back, but under the blanket of 4 in the midfield, and Shamrock Rovers are going to have to keep going and try and open up with that penetrating pass to try and get a goal, because they're going to be solid. They're going to stay back and they're going to hoop for one way, and they're going to try and catch Rovers out if they can going up front. And they've done it a few times. Done it with a few teams this season, sitting back and catching them on the break with a long ball up or a set piece or a corner. So, like, obviously Harps, they have their dangers as a team, and by no means should you be going thinking you're going to get a win against Harps, because you won't. They'll always fight. They've got a very big fighting desire in that team. They always have, and every other Oregon team has been like that. It's not. I know I said 2 or 3-0. It's not going to be an easy game. But they're going to have to keep going at it. They're going to have to keep pressing. They're going to have to keep trying to make opportunities and keep going forward. It's going to be dog like that, because Rovers keep it on the ground. Harps will have it in the air, I'd imagine. But Harps are trying to play for their league position status. They're going to try and get a result any means possible. And I'll be doing the exact same as far as them. I'll be keeping it tight. I'll be having 5 at the back. I'll be putting it up one way, and I'll be having my big man up front and trying to get up to him and just keep them out as long as they can and try and delay them as much as they can. And who knows, if they can get 0-0 for Harps, it'll be a great result. Obviously poor for Shamrock Rovers, but the bottom line is I do expect Rovers to get a win.
Yeah, same. But as well as that, I think with Rovers as well, the way they play, they're so good defensively that they have a patience a lot of the time, and they know that a lot of the time if they can nick one goal, it's more than likely going to win the game. They can score more goals, they've done that, but they also know that one goal probably will be enough to win the majority of games in this league. 23 goals conceded. But as you said, Harps do have threats. I mean, Olabi up front can be a menace to any defence, like strength, pace, power, can finish as well. Sean Boyd, late in the game can come on and score, as he has done many times as well. And, Mark Coyle is a driving force in the middle of the park for them as well. But, it'll be difficult against Shamrock Rovers midfield because of so much quality in midfield and, players come off the bench and that. And that could be it as well. They could nick it 1-0 with 15 minutes to go,
Yeah, I think Sadiki is missing for Harps as well. Obviously, he got sent off. So that's going to be... it's going to be a big blow over Harps. He's one of their better defenders, in my opinion, anyway, I think. If you're a Harps fan, let me know below. But from what I've seen, I think he's a very good defender. I'd definitely like him on balls if we were to get him. But that's going to be a blow over Harps, I think, as well, trying to fill that in. But let's see what happens. But it's going to be a hard game for both teams, I think. But I do expect Rovers to get the win, like you said. And, even I think am I right in saying Longford twice when you won 1-0 late on?
4 times they beat Longford 1-0 this season, but I think 3 times it was laid on.
And three of them were very late goals. I remember one was 90 plus 5 minutes. That's just mad. And Harps to be looking at that and how they play to set up, and that might influence how they'll approach things too, I reckon. So they'll probably try and play a similar way and try and heat them out.
Yeah, fair to say. I think Rovers will probably pinch it as well. But look, guys, we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed before. Hit your bell notification button and let us know what you think in the comments. Give us a prediction as well. Thanks for watching, guys.